Hello and welcome to this episode of the Music City Mindset. If this is your first time listening, welcome. If for whatever reason you want to go back and listen to any of the foolery up until this point, we are located wherever you listen to podcasts under the Nashville Fit Magazine Network. Once you find them, scroll down, you'll see our faces and just listen away. If you're one of the lucky ones that follows along on YouTube, it's the same thing. Find the Nashville Fit page, scroll down, you'll see me and Deon underneath there, and enjoy. If you are following along on YouTube, you can know something looks a little different, something's missing. Deon is not here. He had some things come up, but he said the show must go on. So we are here. He will be back next week. We got a great one next week. If this one is not good, I'm blaming Deon. He should be here. So, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce my friends, the guests here, true power couple. To do a power couple, you have to be someone individually. So, that is how this intro is going to work today. You ready?
Ready.
Since opening his chiropractic center, he has been on the list of the top chiropractors in the entire city. He's changed the way I looked at chiropractic work. He has helped me stay intact over the years. And I typically trust athletes more than other people. I feel like we speak the same language, and in that he has played some hockey, he's dabbled in some powerlifting, now doing a bodybuilding competition.
Correct.
Yeah, you're shrinking.
I'm shrinking. It's scary. Shrinking a lot.
Dr. Chad Rush, everyone.
Well, thank you.
Round.
Yes, and sitting beside him, his proud wife, especially if you watch their content online. Clingy wife. He's the business, but she runs their business. She is a professional aerialist, fire breather.
Yep.
I don't know. We're going to get into what all else you can do.
Yeah.
Her performance on cruises, NBA games, Kentucky Derby, has done performances alongside Lady A, George Strait, and Chris Stapleton. Those had landed her a big screen role in Megalopolis. That's kind of hard to say.
An interesting name for a movie.
Yeah, we'll dive into that. It is the Nikki Orlando Rush.
Yes.
I was thinking you were going to end it with show. The Nikki Orlando show.
Yeah, I didn't want anyone to see my experience working DJ as a strip club, because that definitely has that kind of name.
Nikki, well, that's what I said. When my name turned to Nikki Rush, I was like, it sounds like a rock star or stripper name.
Nikki Rush.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey.
Nikki Rush is rushing to the stage. You would crush in that
Yes, I would.
with the skill set you have.
Yeah.
What's up, guys?
Nothing. Just living life.
Nothing.
Watching
We
Chad
missed you.
just.
It's been a while.
It has been a while.
Yeah.
Been very busy.
Yep.
Business and personal.
Yep.
From different locations and dogs and competitions. You blew up, and then now you're deflating and all of that.
I mean, like, that's the best way to put it.
Yep. Blew up and deflated.
It takes some dedication. It takes a little bit of isolation.
It's all isolation, it feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Life has been boring.
Yeah, we live a very boring life.
I feel like a grandpa. I wake up, do nothing but eat, sleep, and lift. And then I do the same thing the next days.
Yeah. But
and I follow along.
goals.
And I do the same thing.
Clinging.
But
You should do a gym version of the clingy wife.
Yeah, I know.
Where you're like holding on to him, like his back while he's doing curls or something.
have him curl me.
Yeah.
Surprised you haven't yet.
You like?
You should.
Got to think of a good one.
Yeah.
It'll come.
It'll come.
It will. Okay, so point of the show is talking about the journey that led people here, that help grow Nashville in certain kind of ways, but aren't from here. So to kick this off, where are y'all from originally?
You want to take it?
Well, we're both from upstate New York. It's a small town called Messina. It's about an hour south of Montreal, Canada. So we're basically Canadians without being in Canada.
Boo.
I know. But we had to drive 3 hours to get to a real mall, so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was either that or you go across the border into Canada and you do your shopping there. But we lived in a very small town.
Was that accessible growing up? Like just popping over there to...
I lived 5 minutes from the border, so you just roll over.
But like it wasn't like weird going through like customs or
we had
anything like that?
special licenses that would let you go across really easy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Used to go over for hockey tournaments all the time. I mean...
Did you watch the game the other night?
I actually didn't, but I watched some highlights.
You just got to watch the first 9 seconds and then...
What game was this?
U.S. and Canada.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well...
Nope.
I mean, when you started off by booing someone's national anthem, shit's probably not going to go your way after that.
Not in a sport like that,
No.
especially with the Chuck legends of like. I mean, they just did what I think they were going to do it no matter what.
Yeah.
Even if there was no booing, I think they were going to do that because their father did the same thing in '96 against Canada. But you just put fuel on the fire, and he was talking about there was a group chat like, yeah, this is going to happen.
Yep. Yeah.
That was before the booze. So wild game. So did you grow up playing hockey?
I grew up playing hockey from the minute I could walk until I was finishing up my high school career. Yeah. Actually, until I got in a little bit of trouble as a kid. And that,
all right, love that.
Which I found out when we tried to go across the border, and he had to tell the border patrols why he was arrested.
Yeah,
that's how I found out about his arrest.
Might as well just get this
yeah. What were you arrested for,
this
Chad?
podcast started. I was 16, and I was with all my buddies, and there was an open garage when we were young and hanging out at night, and we saw a fridge, so we thought, I wonder if there's any beer in that fridge.
Labatt Blue?
Yeah, Labatt's Blue. So we got in trouble for stealing a case of beer out of some guy's garage.
But like, come on, man! Like, they were kids.
Did everyone get in trouble?
Everyone got in trouble, but nobody's parents were as strict as mine. So I was grounded for 6 months. I got taken out of hockey. I got my car taken away. My bedroom was stripped of everything except the bed that was on the floor. Yeah.
Wow.
So that was the end of my hockey career until I moved down here in January of 2017, and then I started playing again, started coaching at the Fordyce Centers of the youngsters, 10, 12-year-olds, and then played up until just about a year or two ago when we moved out to Columbia, and it just got too hard.
Those kids' parents know about your criminal background?
They probably should have. But we didn't want to lose Fordyce Center the money.
Yeah.
It's just wild, though, because it was the guy that got you in trouble, like the owner of the house?
Yeah, he had infrared cameras set up because I guess somebody had already stolen beer out of his garage once. So he set up
Is he just leaving his garage door open? It sounds like his problem.
Yeah, right.
He set up some deer cams and caught one of our...
What a jerk.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
He's baiting someone at that point, right?
And they're kids. Like, they're 15, 16
You're
years
baiting
old.
them.
Like,
you got baited. That's what it was.
Yeah.
You got baited.
I actually met him later and we became friends when I was...
I didn't know that.
When I
would not be his friend.
Me and Nikki still hate this guy.
Yeah.
So.
when I was in college and I came home for summers, I used to bartend at one of the restaurants in town, and he was one of my regulars, and he found out who I was, and he used to come to the bar all the time and hang out and talk, and all water under the bridge type stuff. But yeah, I wound up meeting the guy.
Okay, well, kill him with kindness, I suppose.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So y'all go to the same? Y'all grew up in the same town? Did y'all go to the same high school? Everything?
Yeah, we went to the same high school. So when we first met, I was a freshman, he was a senior, and we did musicals together.
Yeah.
That's how we met. 42nd Street, the musical. I danced and he sang.
Big thespian here.
Thespian,
Big
okay.
thespian.
So we did musicals together, and that's how we met. And as a joke for 4 years before we started dating, we called each other hubby wifey. Mm-hmm. As a joke. I never
A 4-year joke?
She was joking.
I really never, not once did it ever cross my mind that I thought I would have been with him. Not once.
It crossed your mind.
Hey, she was joking. I was trying to get after that.
I knew it. She's joking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when I was a senior in high school, he came back saying, "I like you."
But did he wink like that?
Yeah, that's what I did.
Yep. You know me, Blake. This
Yeah.
is me.
Yeah.
Pretty irresistible.
Yeah, so irresistible. And then we started dating at the end of my high school career.
But did y'all go to different colleges?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the distance of the LDR in this situation?
I was in SUNY Fredonia around Buffalo area, and she was,
I was
in
in
Pittsburgh. I think the drive was about,
4 or 5 hours? More?
it wasn't 5.
Maybe 4.
Probably somewhere between 3.5 and 4.5. I can't remember.
And I live downtown in Pittsburgh, so
Yinzers.
yeah, yes.
Yinzers, yeah.
Yinzers. I never said yins.
It's a weird city,
Yeah.
Pittsburgh. It shuts down when business is not going. Like,
As soon as like 5:30, 6 o'clock hits, it's dead.
it's crazy. People are there 9 to 5, 9 to 6, and then it's just empty. Weird city.
It's kind of wild.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing if you could hold up a 4-year inside joke, you made long distance work.
We made long distance work. He had a car. I didn't have a car because I lived downtown, and then my school was 1 block over, so it made no sense for me to have a car. So if I ever wanted to go visit him, this was the worst part of being distance in college and having no car. I would take the dang Greyhound bus to get to him. Yeah. Or there'd be times he would come and visit me, and then yeah. But if I wanted to
Are
go,
Greyhounds
visit him,
different up there than down here, or
the
same
Greyhound,
vibe?
it's sketchy.
Probably the same vibe.
I was going into Buffalo, New York.
Yeah.
You
So I've never
only-
been there.
Oh.
Which is part of why I do this show, because
Yeah.
I'm trying to live vicariously. Now I can talk about Buffalo.
Yeah, Buffalo's a little sketchy.
It can
Okay.
be, yeah.
So
There's some nice areas, but
yeah, but I was never a fan of Buffalo, but I would take the Greyhound bus from Pittsburgh into Buffalo. It'd take about 6 hours for that because it stops in places along the route. Oh yeah, that's love.
Yeah.
hey,
Dang.
it's hard to be away from me. I get it.
Yeah, we made it work through that, and then I went overseas.
And then she went and did cruise contracts, and
Yeah. So obviously, I can understand how someone would get involved in hockey. It's available as youth. You figure out if you're good or not.
yeah, right.
You know, did some like dance, acting, thespian stuff. But how do you even find out you're talented swinging from things in the air?
Kind of by accident a little bit. My mom used to joke as a kid because I was the kid that was always upside down. My feet were never on the ground. So she used to joke to say I was going to be in the circus one day. Lo and behold. But I was a dancer till I was from 3 until then I went to college for dance. Danced through college. And then my first I auditioned for Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines. But the audition that I had went to was a dancer aerialist call, but then it had like in the caption, don't have to have any aerial experience. And I was like, okay, well.
That seems like something you'd
Right?
need to done once or twice
So
before.
I rolled up to the audition. If you made it through all of the dance cuts, they put you through their aerialist audition, which is like, how many pull-ups can you do? Can you climb a rope? Can you like touch your toes to the bar? How many skin the cats can you do? Which is a skill, an aerial skill where you toe to the bar, but then you keep going around in a circle and then unwind.
Oh, okay.
Blow out your shoulders.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
So I made it through all the dance cuts, and then
I've seen you do that with a tempo. It's like,
Yeah.
made it through all the dance cuts, and then we got to the aerial portion where, you know, I had to do 5 pull-ups. I did the rope climb. They put us through felt like 500 push-ups, and then at that point they had cut more people and then had us do like the skin the cats and some pullovers, basically to see if you were strong enough to learn how to be an aerialist. So they're basically doing just like a strength audition. And
yeah, because there's not like youth aerialist programs.
No. I mean, there are like now, like back in I'm sure there were back in 2015, whatever year it was.
And like in Nashville now, it's
Yeah.
a poppin' city, but
like-
where we're from, there's no.
Right. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So I made it through that cut as well. I think there were 2 males and 5 females that made it through all of that, which if you made it through that cut, you're in their database, and then they'll reach out to you about being in a show.
Gotcha.
So then they reached out to me about being in a show that had aerial. So then basically Royal Caribbean, they had their own aerial company that they work with called On the Fly, and they trained me to be an aerialist. So like it really wasn't like in the plan. It just, I was strong enough to do it. And then
Did
it happened.
did it come like very naturally to you, or was it like a big learning curve?
I had the strength, but a lot of the skills aerial wise, it's a different coordination kind of strength. So I mean, when I first started, like I was not good. Like I felt like I was not good. But I felt like I learned it pretty fast. Picked up on it pretty fast, but it's hard.
Yeah.
It was so, I mean, some of the easy stuff.
But I feel like
was
that's one of
not
those
hard.
where like that's part of
Not
the
easy.
skill is making something very difficult look seamless, smooth, choreographed, all of that. But it's all you could say an easy trick. I don't know if there's anything easy when you're.
Yeah.
She picks up everything easy.
Is that a reference of her picking you up?
No.
Are you easy?
Did you see me picking him up off the floor in case our house caught on fire?
Yeah.
That was hard.
Yeah, you're dead, dog. Yeah, just grab Jake and get out.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, right.
Kind of same question, but obviously different routes of as far as exposure. One of the top chiropractors in Nashville. You've been on a list from Nashville Scene, Nashville Fit, all of that been mentioned. When did you know you wanted to go that route?
Well, I had no idea I thought I wanted to be a personal trainer.
Okay.
And then once I started doing that, and I realized that the hours of personal training were from 4 in the morning until 10 in the morning, and then from 5 at night until 8 or 9 at night.
Yeah.
I said, no, maybe I don't want to do that.
But then you have time to do things like record podcasts.
Yeah, in the middle of the day.
So I was in school at that time for exercise science and personal training at that time I was at a Buffalo Athletic Club, it was called. And then that was getting towards my last years in undergrad. And at that point when I realized like, this is not what I want to do the rest of my life, I was like, oh shit, what am I going to do? Like, I don't know what else to do with this exercise science degree. And everything kind of just fell in place on accident at that time. I had started dating Nikki, who her father is a chiropractor.
Again.
One of my fellow classmates in undergrad had just randomly, for some reason, started talking to me about how she applied for this chiropractic school, and like it only took her 2 weeks to get notified back that she had been accepted. And so I went home, shadowed with her dad a little bit to see if I liked it and was interested in it, and kind of really enjoyed watching him work. And I was like, this might be something I can do. So I said, well, screw it. I'll apply to this one school. If I get in, I'll go. If not, I'll take the summer off or a year off, and I'll either work at home or find something to do. And then I'll apply to all the other schools the following year, which is probably a good thing I wound up getting in, because a lot of people say they're going to take a year off school and never go back.
Never go back.
Yeah. So a couple weeks went by. I got my acceptance letter from Dewville Chiropractic College in Buffalo, New York. D''YOU-Ville. Dewville. I don't know.
Do you?
Yeah, do you, baby.
Dewville.
So we started chiropractic school, I think maybe 2 weeks after I graduated undergrad, and then the rest is history.
In chiropractic school, do they talk about different types of chiropractors? Because as someone who's been to a lot, I feel like they're all vastly different, but I feel like the school's not incredibly different from what you learn. Obviously, there's the stereotypical, just like, rack 'em and crack 'em or
Right.
whatever that phrase is.
Right, yeah.
My first chiropractor was like almost like a wizard in kinesiology of like feeling energy blockages.
Right.
And like it was some weird
Yeah.
weird stuff. And then obviously when I peeked my head in to see the chiropractic place upstairs when I was GM at Stretch Zone, is relieved to see a squat rack inside of a
Right.
chiropractic studio, which I feel like that's the thing chiropractors always told me, like, oh, we can fix you, but like you got to stop lifting. And then
Yeah.
to see weights inside your studio, I could already tell before you and I ever talked that you were going to be a little bit different with that. How do you go through school that could be cookie cutter and branch off into different styles? How did you find your vibe?
Well, a big thing for me is coming from such an exercise background.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what I'm passionate about. The only thing I like to do as a hobby really is be in the gym. And it sounds weird. It's weird to a lot of people, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I mean, I really, it's what I enjoy doing. If I'm not in the gym, I don't know what else I'd be doing. So living my whole life that way, it led me to practice the way that I practice, to be able to tell people that are injured, listen, we're going to get back to you lifting. Or they ask me, hey, do I have to stop lifting? And I can tell them we might have to rest for a little bit, but we don't have to stop completely. We might have to tone it down, but we don't have to stop completely. Rarely do I have people stop lifting at all. There are ways to continue doing what you love to do without re-injuring or hurting yourself or whatever. And then there's things that they can't do at one point and we can get back to later. But never will I ever tell somebody that they can't lift or exercise or whatever. That just kind of baffles me that there are people that do that.
I've been told that more than once by
Yeah, it's crazy.
more than once by chiropractors specifically that
Yeah.
and maybe it was phrased that way. Maybe they meant like just not how I lift.
Right.
But
And that even baffles me too, because I get that with what you're doing and what strongman competitors do, you know, it's there's exercise and then there's the extremes.
mm-hmm.
But even for someone who's on the extreme side, if that's your passion and that's what you love doing, listen, your job as a chiropractor or a physical therapist is to get this person to do what they love.
Yeah.
That's why they came to you. If they came to you for you to tell them to rest and stop doing it, they wouldn't have came in.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
And that's a very valid point that I hope people who are either working with you currently or thinking about it is like a really big deal, because what they don't tell you when you start dabbling into the extreme of lifting is that, like, I know I can't like compete in strongman for forever.
Right.
But like with what we do, and I know I'm biased because it's strongman, but like even if I'm not like winning competitions, training strongman gives you this like feeling of like functionality that like what I'm doing here is it's fun, it's my outlet, but it better prepares me for everything else I do out there. Carrying a sandbag would get you better at carrying him. Like, you know, those kind of like functionality things. Like
picking up
I don't
your
want to do
kids.
a machine bicep curl that gets me better at doing machine bicep curls.
Right.
Like I feel so practical and functional in life. So being able to get me to like stop doing that makes me feel like I'm already at this age, not even 40, having to stop living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm starting to decline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like that's hard to, but then that goes back to around why I feel comfortable talking to athletes and speaking that same language, because I mean that's hard to explain to someone who's not an athlete.
And aside from everything I just said, another thing too is you can tell an athlete to stop. They ain't gonna listen to you.
No, I'm not.
So what's the point?
I'm not.
You know?
I feel like at that point you could either tell them what you think or know what's actually going to happen and give them you know what they want. That's interesting. You were definitely very helpful with me. I had such a great relationship with my first ever chiropractor. He was actually played for like the Steelers in the 70s.
Oh, cool.
So I thought he was going to be some big meathead that could actually, and then he was like doing all that kinesiology shit that was like super weird.
Yeah.
And kind of like, I don't know, it was like voodoo or something.
There's a
Like
lot of
focus.
there's a lot of mindsets out there in chiropractic. It's
You got lots of ranges. Of,
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, it was very strange of how like woo-saw he was when I thought he was going to be like, you know, NFL 70s, Steelers.
Yeah.
You know, I definitely thought he was going to be one way and he was the other way. And I mean, I'm glad that opened my mind up.
Right.
But he introduced me to lasers and energies and
I have no idea about any of that stuff.
Yeah, I don't even know how you like. That's what like fascinates me about chiropractic, because like you all go to the same
Right.
chiropractic school,
Right.
but then there's each one is so different in
Right.
how they feel like they can care best for their patients. So I was very excited to like talk to you. Like, how do you decide? Like, how do these chiropractors decide what they're going to be? You know, and I guess it has to do with
I think
exposures and passions.
Everyone's got a mindset and a passion, and they all believe this way or that way, and then it kind of falls into place when you get out of school and you start practicing on people, and then you go to these different seminars, and that's where people get set aside. The stuff you do after school. In school, there's one goal. It's get through boards. Graduate, get through boards, study flashcard after flashcard after flashcard until you want to put your head through a brick and get through. That's all you have to do. Get through. And then you start learning when you step out.
In 2025, do you still feel like you're having to kind of coach people in debunking chiropractic myths of like how people are either scared or what it actually does, or is pretty much the knowledge out there? And
there's always going to be people that you have to talk to and debunk myths, and there are some people that are just never going to give you the time of day because they're either their parents,
somebody knows somebody
that didn't like it.
a surgeon, this guy, that guy told him that chiropractic was terrible for him, and
called them wax.
Yep. Not real doctors.
Right,
Yeah.
that type of stuff. And and you know what? Most of those people may never come into my office.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, there's one whose husband is an orthopedic surgeon who's told him never to go to a chiropractor, and they can't get out of pain, and they walk through my door and say, my husband doesn't know I'm here.
Oh.
And those are the people that when you get them better, the light turns on.
Mm.
And that's what I love. I love that.
Watching that switch kind of turn.
Yeah.
If I called the office and had questions, I would actually be speaking
To me.
to Nikki. How much of that do you have to deflect, like as a filter before people get to Chad? About what to expect when they come in? Do you have to is it?
Sometimes people will ask like, hey, so they'll ask insurance questions like, hey, do you accept insurance? What about this insurance plan? They'll ask me about like, will he crack me on the first day is usually how they phrase it. So I basically explain, will he crack me on the first day?
Your first date kind of guy?
Yeah. Well, sometimes what will happen is, for the most part, he does treat people on this first day, which is what I'll tell people. But every now and then somebody will come in that'll give him some sort of problem that they have going on that he feels like they need an x-ray before he feels comfortable to treat them. Mm. So if that's the case, we send out for x-rays. We don't do in-house x-rays anymore. So we'd have to have them come in. He'll do an exam on them. Something pops up sends a red flag. And then we have to send out for an x-ray. So then they'd have to leave, go take an x-ray, and then come back.
Gotcha.
They're far and few between, but you'd rather be safe than sorry. Mm-hmm. So basically that's my job, is kind of helping people understand kind of how we work. He works a little bit different than a lot of chiropractors, where a lot of chiropractors are, you come in and you get your 3-minute adjustment, which there is a place for that. Like, we call them in our office, we call them Nikki adjustments, because that's how he treats me. Yeah. If I ask for an adjustment, I get a Nikki adjustment. It's the 3-minute adjustment. But a lot of people, since a lot of our clients are athletes, sometimes they need more than just an adjustment. So his appointments are normally like 10-ish minutes long, where he's treating them, doing the adjustment, soft tissue work, cupping, dry needling.
And then I have people that do 45-minute appointments with me as well.
I was going to say, I've been in there for
a
couple hours taking a nap, playing some dogs.
So
napping on the roller table.
So
I saw one on Marketplace the other day, and I thought about it.
Should have gotten it.
Yeah. It was like, it was old.
Yeah.
It was older than yours, and it was like $2,500 or something.
That's a lot for an old
But I was
one.
like, oh, I would just.
Those things are trains, man. They don't break.
Yeah. that's I mean, I think that gives a good point because I feel like everyone has a different experience about it because there's so many different ones out there.
Yeah.
As far as like how you approach the field of chiropractic, like I've even talked to someone actually not that long ago that was like all about chiropractic for certain things, the things that happen with training and stuff like that. But then it's like very hard, but don't let them have your neck. So,
Man, that's the best adjustment. People are missing out.
yeah, it's like, okay, you can work on everything else, but don't touch my neck. Like, I don't.
And we have people that come in that say, like, you can adjust everything, and they remind him every time, like, but just don't adjust my neck. And, you know, that's totally fine. Like, if you're not comfortable getting your neck adjusted.
Yeah, I'm not going to make anybody do
No,
it.
because they're going to sit there like this.
They're going to be tense, and it's probably not going to be the adjustment that they need anyway.
Right.
No.
Interesting. All right. Well, I think that pretty much covers some of the background stuff that, like, as much good of friends as we've been, some things I actually didn't know. At some point in the back of my mind, I think I always knew that I would end up with some microphones. So there's a lot of my friendships that I've kind of like not asked questions because I knew this day was coming. So definitely have a lot more questions, and we'll get to those after a word from our sponsors.
Here in Nashville for the 7th Country Music Marathon and Half Marathon. I think it says a lot about the city of Nashville, what it has to offer.
And we are back with some of my best friends. I can say that. I try to make these sound all professional, but getting to know people even better. That's the whole point of this show. So we kind of covered up into this point decisions and things that had happened to lead you down the path that you are on now. But in all of that, how and why did you end up in Nashville of all places? Cruise lines taking you all around the world, upstate New York and Deauville. How and why Nashville?
Well, with her father being a chiropractor and our hometown being so
Like
small,
the size of, like, this room.
there's really no room for businesses in our hometown. Most of them don't make it. There's not enough people to support business up there, really. It is a beautiful area. It's honestly too bad not more people know about it and make their way up there, but there's just no one there for some reason. I'm not sure why. But her dad being a chiropractor there too, so the other thing is I didn't want to go in and be my possible future son-in-law or father-in-law's competition and have our relationship start on that kind of foot.
I mean, was like working for him or under him a possibility?
I don't know. I
don't see Chad really working for somebody.
I don't either.
I'm not good at working for people in general. Yeah,
Mr. Orlando.
And Nikki says. Nikki also says that me and her dad are a lot alike.
They're very similar, so they would just be
clash.
And I love her father to death, but I think if we had to spend hour after hour together, we'd probably kill each other.
Yeah, they would.
Okay.
Yeah. So
We'll actually touch back on that, but yes.
For some reason, when I was finishing up chiropractic school, I decided that I was either going to move to Alaska.
And I said no.
Or
Alaska.
Or Tennessee. Because
how did you come up with this list?
When I was in
steal some beers out of a garage.
when I yeah, right.
Sat down and making notes after he drank those beers.
For some reason,
had you been to Tennessee?
I had driven through Tennessee with my buddy. We went down to Georgia, picked up a Chevy K5 Blazer.
Oh, okay.
And drove it back. And on our way back, we stopped through Nashville and we stopped in the Franklin area, and I fell in love with the town of Franklin.
Okay.
So that was, I was like, we both fell in love with it. He just wasn't able to move down here because he's Buffalo PD, and police unfortunately don't make the same amount here, and he would have had to take like a half of his pay cut. He's like, I can't move down here with you, sorry, buddy. So unfortunately, I still got to go to Buffalo to meet up with him. But yeah, so I fell in love with Tennessee the first time I came. Me and him actually came back a couple times and visited, and each time back I was like, yeah, this place is awesome. And then the Alaska thing was, for some reason, I thought that when I got out of school, I'd have more time to be a hunter, and I was just going to be an avid hunter, and that's all I was going to do. Okay. I do love hunting. I just never have time or a place to do it, so I don't do it much. But I was like, what better place than Alaska? Elk, moose, bear. I'll be the best.
So logical.
Be the best hunter ever if I just moved to Alaska.
No.
Like those are the dream hunts that hunters only dream about and have to pay for. I could just live there.
I had a buddy that played for an arena football team in Alaska. He said it was the weirdest thing of like going through the times of like sunlight versus.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
He's like, it would be so weird because it would be like 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
And it'd be dark.
It'd be super dark.
Weird.
And like someone's mowing their yard outside. Like,
with a headlamp.
Yeah. People would like put like different lights on their lawnmower.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like the seasonal. If you get seasonally depressed,
I kind of always. It all makes sense now. You know all the riding lawnmowers that have the headlights on them, and you're like, why the fuck does a riding lawnmower have a headlight? Oh, that's me over there. I'm sorry.
Oh.
I was like, what is this peaceful music?
I know.
So, no, it's all good. That happened to me one time that, like, no matter what I did, I couldn't turn my phone off. And it was the alarms. I had my alarms hooked up to Spotify. And, like, 3 different times in the show, it was playing Sexy Red. A little embarrassing. So that was actually peaceful.
But anyway, now we know why. That's why mowers have headlights.
Yeah, because of Alaska.
For Alaska.
For Alaskans.
Yeah.
I said absolutely not. That was way too far from family for me to go there.
So we
like absolutely not. Like
absolutely 0% chance. I'm not even going to visit for us to look.
It was hard to
get
into Tennessee.
There. Tennessee was even kind of hard. I'm just really close with I'm super close with my family that the distance of New York to here is like 18 hours.
Yeah.
Which is a very quick flight, which is no biggie, and the flights are really cheap for us to go back and forth. But to be in Alaska,
where do you fly into?
Syracuse.
Okay.
It's like still like 3 hours.
Gotcha.
But for us to go back and forth to Alaska, have you ever looked into flights to Alaska? They're not.
I can't say that.
Have you ever done? No. Neither have most people.
You haven't wanted to go on a dream hunt yet?
I can't say that I have. I do not share that
They're
testimony.
very expensive. For as frequent as I would want to go home, I was like, there's no way we can be paying for.
I feel like climate, though, it would be similar.
Just
maybe.
Freezing as New York.
Cold,
freezing,
snow.
And he also wanted warm weather and country music, so Alaska made no sense.
We probably got some country music in Alaska. There's got to be some country folk out there.
Gotta be, right?
Yeah.
If the hunting's that good, you gotta listen to.
That's right.
Something.
Yeah, but the animals he'd hunt, I wouldn't eat anyway, so.
Yeah, but to your point, I don't know how anybody does that. Like, I am also very close to my family, and some of my family I'm really not that close with. Yeah. But, like, I do know that, like, if I needed something, that they're still there.
Oh, right? Yeah.
So I've never gone anywhere. I've never lived anywhere else. And the idea of having to do what I want to do without having, even if I don't ever use it, but that safety net of friends and family and leaving that, I mean, it would be very hard to get me to go anywhere. It's been a problem in some of my relationships. Yeah. The fact that I didn't want to go anywhere. So I can't imagine. So I'm there with you on that.
Yeah. It was hard, even as I say all the time, like my parents, for instance, they knew each other they maybe knew a little bit in high school, and they lived in New Jersey. And then my dad decided to open up his chiropractic office in New York. So they moved away from family to open up a practice. And my mom, I mean, she went with my dad, and I mean, she was happy to be with him, but it's so hard that once you start to have kids, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins are all nowhere close. So when we start to have kids, my sister and my brother-in-law now live here, but like that's all we have for family. So that was another reason too, that once we started to have a family, that makes it a lot harder when we have
I mean, I grew up with
grandparents.
a bunch of family all on one road.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Both sides of my family.
that's fun.
Multiple families from each side of my family all on one
Yeah.
road.
Yeah.
So, and it kind of makes me at least feel like I'm a little bit alone. Not really, but like if he's working and, we have a child and something happens, like I can't just be like, hey, Mom, can you come over and like watch my kid? I have to
Yeah.
do X, Y, and Z. Like I have my sister now, which is great, but like they also work. Like I don't have just easy access to
Yeah.
a family member that I can just like throw my kid at.
You throw our kid at Blake.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
I can
and
catch it.
say like we do
carry
have
it. I can
we
put
do
it on my
have friends
shoulder.
that I would feel comfortable doing that too, but I also don't want to like burden you because like burden a friend to just be like, hey, here's my kid, gotta go, bye. Where if it's my mom, I'm like, pfft.
Well, with that, you mentioned kind of being lonely, and maybe not right now, but like as far as from family and people that would be like, no, give it to me, go.
Yeah.
Like you don't have that.
Yeah.
And that would have to be scary at times, I would imagine. But as far as being lonely, like you help him run his businesses. Y'all have opened up in Columbia now. It seems like y'all spend every moment of every day together.
Basically.
She can't get enough of me.
Was that
Irresistible, he thinks.
she's just lonely, Chad.
I'm just a busy person. Like,
but, like-
if I'm home alone and he's not there, I'm like, well, I'll go walk around the grocery store. There's people there. I don't have to talk to them. I just got to be around people all the time.
Yeah.
Just keep
Was that
busy.
always like the dream of like building something where y'all could do this together? Did this just kind of happen? Do y'all get tired of each other?
Just kind of happened.
Yeah. When we opened up practice, we had 2 weeks to say yes or no to the opportunity to open up the office. And we were like, well, my mom manages my dad's chiropractic office. So my mom does what I do for him,
Yeah.
So I could call my mom and I was like, Mom, how do I do this? What software do I do? What is insurance? How does insurance work? So basically we had 2 weeks to figure out how to run a practice, and I could use my mom to like help me
That's awesome.
go figure it out. So do we get sick of each other? I tell him, I will always love you, but I may not always like you.
No.
So messed up.
And he, trust me, he feels the same way.
It's not true. Not true. I always love you and I always like you. Never get mad at you.
Just saying that.
Well, it's almost like seeing y'all operate. That's kind of almost like turned into goals. It's like trying to like build something where I could have her with me more and things like that. And like y'all like are the example. Like it's something that I think we would want. And then it's like, oh, but we know someone that does it.
Right.
And it seems like it works.
Yeah. It works for us. I know it does not work for everybody, but it really does work for us. And honestly, I'm never sick of him.
So you visited Nashville a couple times. You saw Franklin, did all that, but then you decided to actually like move here.
Mm-hmm.
Did you work for someone? Did you move here and start your own? Because I know that shop you were in used to be a chiropractic
Right.
place.
So
So what was that like? Finding a lease, finding a place, like why Green Hills?
So we all have to do, chiropractic students all have to do an internship before they graduate. So I was done with all my classes and I needed 16 weeks worth of internships. So I said, if I go out and I do my internship in Tennessee and I just get an apartment, I'll have all my crap down in Tennessee and I won't. My biggest thing is I didn't want to get stuck in New York. I wanted to get out of New York as far as possible. One, because New York, in terms of chiropractic, is not good for getting paid basically by insurance companies, which really nowhere is anymore. And we don't take much insurance anyway, so it doesn't matter. But at that point when I was in school, I was like, I don't want to be in New York. Screw that place. So I want to get out. So I did my internships down here, moved down here January 1st of 2017. And then I was already here. So it was pretty easy from my internship. I wound up getting a job as an associate chiropractor for, it was about a year. I'm not sure if it was a little under or a little over. Absolutely hated working for somebody with everything I had. Was super bored. When you work for somebody, you can't really do what you want. You just follow the rules, and go home at the end of the day. So a guy's wife was working as a chiropractor in Green Hills, where we're at now, and they were selling all of their chiropractic equipment because she was ready to pack up her stuff and move back to Spring Hill and work in his office there. So I found them selling their stuff online, and I said, hey, can I just buy all of your equipment? How much would you sell it for? He gave me a price, and I said, what's going on with the building or the room? I said, well, let me see if I can get your lease too, and we won't even have to move the stuff. We'll just leave all the crap there, and I'll just start my practice right there. So that's what we did.
And our whole first week of opening, we had no electricity.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
We had patients that came in and were like, no, it's okay. I'll still get adjusted in the dark.
NES went to change.
So we had to move like the adjusting table closer to the window so there was light.
Like
so it's not like a
sunlight?
pitch.
Yeah.
So it's not like it was pitch black, but
They went to transfer the electricity to my name, and instead of transferring it, they switched it off, and then we're going to switch it back on. And then when it got
The
switched
wrong
off, they
meter.
realized that the meter was outdated and needed to be switched, and it took them like a week to do that.
Oh my god.
It was a whole nightmare.
yeah, it was very embarrassing
So
too.
we're-
Like you're like, here's my new practice.
We got
And
no
then
lights.
We got no lights. Yeah. It was
We were going to like Starbucks and getting all of our paperwork and stuff done, all of our like startup stuff. Couldn't do any work in the office because we didn't have power.
Although that
Jeez.
patient that came in and got adjusted in
Yeah.
the dark, we see him still every other week.
Yeah, he's still here.
Really?
He's still good. Yeah.
So,
That's
7
I mean,
years
that's
later.
a testament right there. Man, that's crazy. How? I mean, you obviously know a lot of chiropractors.
I know
at
a
this
few.
point.
Yeah.
Is that anywhere close to normal? How people get started and have their own practice, or like how lucky do you feel to have like?
I don't think it's
Found out.
normal.
No, that was really lucky.
Yeah.
That was really lucky.
I think
Wow.
But that's why we had 2 weeks to say yes or no to taking over this lease and like learn how to run a chiropractic business. So
personally, I think, and this goes for more than just chiropractic, I think everybody has great opportunities that they either have to choose to take or not.
Yeah.
And the thing was, it was a great opportunity, but a lot of people would not be able to process how scary it is to take that type of jump.
Yeah.
Because Green Hills, Tennessee,
for rent,
the rent costs more than anything I've ever had in my life per month. And per year, it costs more than anything I could have fathomed buying at that time. Because I was straight out of college. I had no money.
Yeah.
I mean,
you still had student loans.
Yeah,
and,
student loans, everything. I had nothing.
and then now you got more overhead of equipment.
Yep, the overhead of that, the lease, all that, and I co-signed it. My dad co-signed for me. So not only am I scared for me, I'm like, if I screw this up, and I can't pay for it, it's gonna screw my dad.
Damn.
A lot of weight.
That's so scary,
Yeah.
bro.
And I had
there's a lot of tears coming out of me for the first
That's so
couple
scary.
months.
no
Yeah.
experience running a business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just think it's something people just have to do. I get a lot of interns and they come through and they want to work for people and they're scared to start up their own thing, and I get it, it's scary, but in terms of if you should start something when you first get out of school or if you should work for somebody, I think people just need to do what they want to do. Start their crap, whether it be a chiropractic office, whether you're a personal trainer, whatever it is. If that's something you want to do in the long run, you just got to do it.
Yeah. I mean, that's essentially what happened to me.
Yeah, that's what you did.
I mean, I was working in the space.
Yeah.
Um,
I remember
But-
talking on the phone with you that day.
I mean, there were some tears there too. And you don't have a lot of time to make a
Yeah,
decision.
yeah.
That feels like in that moment that's like the biggest decision of your life at that point.
Oh yeah, it's huge.
Yeah. Wow, I didn't know that that's actually how that started. Just trying to buy some equipment. So how much of the equipment that's still there was what you bought then?
A lot of it. So
Who's
actually,
that?
it worked out really well. He gave me a really good price for the equipment. The roller tables were there. That was part of it.
Oh wow.
The flat tables.
But there was like 7 or 8 flat chiropractic tables. Nothing special. And we actually wound up making some of the money to pay the guy back on these tables because we reupholstered them ourselves.
Oh, wow.
Made them nice and
I
pretty.
mean, again, we had
painted
no
the
money
legs.
when
Yeah.
we first opened the practice, so yeah.
And I went online and sold those chiropractic tables on Facebook Marketplace to other chiropractors for like $800 a pop.
Oh, wow.
And I drove some out to like
Knoxville or
Clarksville,
something?
Chattanooga, Knoxville, like delivered to, and sold like almost all those tables except for 2. Got like, I think I made like half the money for what I bought all the equipment for off those tables, and was able to make a little bit of that back, and most of the equipment.
But the chiropractor was also great. The amount that we paid for the equipment, which was very cheap, was
stupid low.
$5,000 for all of his stuff,
Oh,
which
wow.
were the tables, the adjusting table, computers, printers, chairs.
No computers.
You didn't have a computer screen?
No.
Well, $5,000, but he let us pay
Office
$1,000 a month to start because he knew we were going to.
And I still talk to the
Yeah.
guy. He's a great,
Oh, of course.
great
I mean,
dude.
How would you not? I mean,
Yeah.
that's really lucky that
Yeah.
you got that. Now, did that come with some patients that stuck around, or did most of them follow and you have to start all the way over?
There wasn't a lot of patients that stuck around. We did get left with a huge a lot of files
Yeah.
that had patient names and numbers, but that was from like this place had
90s.
been a clinic for years and years and years and years.
Yeah.
And this chiropractor that we took over the space from was only there for like a year,
Yeah.
so they were barely there.
So we were actually able to we went through as many of those files as we could, any of the more recent ones, and we made cold calls to people.
Yeah,
So
I sat there with files all day.
We were like, hey, just let me know.
They're like, I haven't been there in 20 years. I'm like, okay.
Want to
You
come
wanna
back?
Exactly.
How's your back?
We got no money.
Wow, that's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then we'd have some random people that would just walk in that were, like, I haven't been here in a couple years. I was just stopping in to see if, anybody was here to get adjusted. We're like, well, actually, yeah. Then we take him in as a new patient. And then we did events.
A lot of events.
I felt like it was every weekend for at least 2 years.
When did Rush Chiropractic Center officially open?
March 12th of 2018.
I mean, so because I know that in doing a deep dive, I saw a thing from Nashville scene of at least putting you voting something of being like a top chiropractor in 2018.
Right.
I think that's when.
I don't do any of the Nashville scene stuff anymore.
Right. And we can get into that because I don't either. And
There's a
probably-
reason.
Yeah, we probably have similar reasons. But in that same regard, like, I mean, you at least were getting at least something,
Yeah, right.
off the bat.
Right. I actually don't even remember how that happened or why. Not sure.
Yeah.
Probably just one of those.
I don't know.
But like, I mean, how hard was those first 6 months, year? Was there ever,
2
was
years?
ever,
I was scared for 2 years.
2 years.
2
we were
years.
like barely
2 straight
sleeping.
years I was,
Stressed.
yeah. I finally started feeling like I could breathe after about 2 years.
but was there a moment of like conversations between y'all about like,
There was never a point where I thought we couldn't do it.
like closing, stopping,
No, nothing.
going back home?
nothing
was
like
that
that.
ever an option?
No.
Nothing like that.
We never had any like scary moments where, we could always we're always able to pay.
Yeah.
To pay our bills.
We busted our ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we made it happen.
What is it about this city, the people that were coming into your clinic, the people you're meeting, networking at the events, things like that? Did any of that and the people you met like fuel you to keep fighting even harder? You didn't, we've already talked about like you didn't have the support here of friends and family. You're kind of new to the area. Like, what about this city coming from? I mean, you came from a town that you said like doesn't have the economy to
Right.
to establish that. Now you're here in the big city,
Right.
and like you're having to fight tooth and nail for years to try to establish some breathing room.
Right.
like, what was the motivation for the fight? To stay here at least. Obviously, I mean, once you're a chiropractor, I mean, I guess unless you get in trouble, you know.
Yeah. Well, to stay here, I mean, we love it here. We love most everything about the place. The housing prices, I'd love if they were a little cheaper.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but I don't know where else we would want to go. So, you know, we just you had to make it work here.
Yeah.
I mean, and
Honestly,
once
our patients are.
patients are awesome.
We have awesome patients. Because we've talked about even like, because we have the Nashville office 3 days a week, and then the Columbia office is on the opposite 2 days. And we've talked, the reason we opened up the second practice was for when we start to have kids, he would maybe work more days in the Columbia office, less days in the Nashville office, so that he was closer to home once we had kids. And at that point, we would also contemplate having an associate in the office that could maybe take one of the days at the Nashville office. But then he and me even get sad because we love our patients in the Nashville office. Like, we don't,
Yeah.
you know.
You have a great office. You have a
Yeah.
great environment. I mean, as someone who's actually napped there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
played with the dogs.
Lay on the floor.
Yeah.
We just said today-
It makes it very welcoming. It's not like an assembly line. Like, do this, do
Oh,
this, do
no.
this,
Right.
do this. Like, you know, you
We're-
got the. Do you even still have the little
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
those are
wobble
there.
chairs
Yeah.
and stuff?
Yep.
Like,
Those
you
are
know,
there.
I've been into this chiropractic office where you go sit here for whatever mind, then you go like
Mm.
you,
Right.
there's not a time to like
Right.
get in the floor and play with Jake.
Yeah.
Like, so y'all have a very inviting office. So I mean, I'm sure the patients feel the exact same way.
It's a very chill atmosphere. People are on the floor, rolling with the dog, playing tug of war with the dogs,
Throwing toys across
throwing
the floor.
toys across the room, trying to get Jake to bark. We have patients that bring in full bags of treats to watch them eat. I mean, like, the office is constantly loud. People talking. Chad will be treating somebody on the table while they're also talking to somebody else that's sitting across the room, and then I'm at the front desk, like, yelling over to them to try to be in the conversation. Like, it is not a cookie cutter office, I would say.
I think that's what makes it good.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like I said, other chiropractor office, like, I mean, it's not like, I don't even feel like I could like talk to the people that are
Right.
Yeah.
other patients in there. Like, it's like boom, 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 boom,
Right.
boom,
Yeah,
and then
no.
you got to stand on some weird vibrating plate with weights on one side, and not mention any names because that sounded like I was talking shit. But that's really cool. That's kind of like the point of what I want to do is like, obviously the things you're doing are really awesome now. We could talk about recognition and awards and growth and locations and stuff like that. But like, I think more people need to see like how hard the people that are really doing something great had to fight to be here. And again, that's something I didn't really know, like how hard that was. It just seemed like, you know, out the gate you were
Right.
getting notoriety and, you know.
No, it was
Yeah.
Smile and wave, boys.
Yeah.
is
It was
what we were
scary.
doing.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah,
scary
no.
time.
Well, I'm glad you stuck
Yeah.
it through. Bodybuilding.
Bodybuilding.
You're going to do a show.
Yep, I'm going to do my first show. It'll actually be at the Nashville Fit Expo.
I hope the schedule lines up where I can get time to go over
Yeah,
there.
so it's-
obviously, my only thing about the expo is that I don't get time to enjoy
Yeah,
it.
you're just busy.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're running around
But I
like
think
crazy.
Christina might be doing a show. I got some people from the gym doing
That's
the
what she
powerlifting
said.
thing. So,
Okay.
how did that come out? Like, ever since I've known you, it was about picking something up and setting it back down. How
Yeah.
did you decide you wanted to
So it kind of
do that?
was sparked back from my roots when I first started exercising. I was originally into the bodybuilding scene, and then I left it and went more powerlifting when I was in chiropractic school, and kind of stuck with that up until a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But in the last couple of years, I felt like I got stagnant, and I needed a new goal to push myself to a limit that I've never been to. So in the last year and a half, we put on probably put on, I went from about 225 to 280 was my top out weight in about a year and a half.
280.
Yeah. And then I was doing that with my buddy Caleb, who is a personal trainer, and coach,
Carbon.
Caleb Sprinkle at Carbon Performance, and he helped me with the bulk. And then I switched up coaches, and I'm working with a guy named Ryan Walters now, and he is working with me for the cut. And I started with him in November, and since November 19th, we're down to 250 now. So we're working another 20 pounds down. So a lot of inflation and deflation.
Yeah, you're documenting it all along on YouTube and everything.
Yep, I am. I'm doing that mainly for me. You know, whoever wants to watch it, great. But I really want to see my own progress.
I did the Cliff Notes version.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went through.
Yeah.
Watched along, but
I want to see my progress with not only how my body changes, but the posing and all that, because that's all new to me. I've never done anything like that. So I just kind of want to be able to, in a year or two, look back and look at the first video and say, oh, damn, you looked terrible. And then see this video and be like, oh,
terrible. You just look thick.
Yeah. So are you already thinking that like there would be another one after this, or is this just something to push your limits now?
Well, I really love the process. The big thing right now is we're doing completely natural for this show.
Good for you.
My testosterone levels are very low, and TRT's been something I'm thinking I need to get on. And unfortunately, you can't do TRT and do natural shows.
No.
So if I fall in love with this process, which I do like it a lot right now, then my next shows I probably won't be able to do natural unless this one goes so well, I blow it out of the water and I'm like, dude, you need to stick in the natural space.
Yeah.
And
the natural space in bodybuilding is very interesting.
Yeah.
It's growing, but it's hard to find.
Right. OCB was a big one that I originally saw, but then the NPC Battle of the Titans, I'm like, hey, it's at the expo. The timing works out. So that's the one we went with.
It's pretty sick.
I'm excited.
It's the diet that I couldn't do.
Yeah. It's starting.
The bulk, I could have been right there beside you the whole way.
Yeah.
the cut, I'm out, Chad.
The hunger's begun.
Yeah. Well, it seems like there's a common thread with what you could learn about yourself through this process, in the sense of like when you make a decision, failure's not the option. Like you're not going to quit. You almost have enjoyed putting yourself kind of back up against the wall because you've seen with the business and stuff that like what good can come from it if you don't get scared.
Right. And that's another reason too that I decided to start documenting it, and
accountability. You can't pull out now.
5 days a week, I'm putting it on YouTube.
Yeah.
So it's not even can I not pull out. I can't mess up. Like every single day, I'm trying to be perfect, because when I get to that show, I want to look amazing. It might be my first show, but I don't want to mess up.
Even if it's not like amazing to like for everybody, but like if you know how much work you put in leading up to it. Regardless of how you do at the show, it's going to be really hard.
I just don't want to look back
and regret not working harder
and think you didn't do this or you didn't do that. I want to be able to look back and say, this is everything you had, and we'll do better next time, but this is all you had this time.
I don't think enough people are willing to hold themselves to that level of accountability. Like people like having like a little bit of an out in case something happens.
Right.
And, empathy is good.
Yeah.
But some great things can come out when you don't give yourself another option.
Right.
You going to step on stage at some point?
No. No, I mean,
ever since I met you and allowed Christina to meet you, that was like the first thing she said about you was, she is beautiful. She could step on stage tomorrow.
Yep.
Oh,
and win.
And that was before you even gave two shits about bodybuilding.
Yeah, and win.
Yeah.
Oh,
especially with the new fit model division, if you haven't looked into that.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I mean, I can appreciate it. I'm like, I will support him 100% with what he is going through. And I mean, I'm following his workout plan. Like when he does his leg day, I do his leg day, and then I do his cardio. The eating, if I said I had to follow a meal plan, I couldn't go off track. Like I could do it, but I don't want to do it. It's so I mean, every night before I go to bed, I eat cookies before I go to bed every night. I'm like, it's it just feels too depressing for me. And I really enjoy like my sweet treats.
So you love
and
yourself.
Yeah, exactly. But like it's also hard too. Like I'm like, hey, let's go out for like brunch and go get mimosas and a charcuterie board, and he can't
now.
do
And
anything.
I get to watch them eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't. I can appreciate the sport, but it is not for me.
Yeah. Dating someone in that like.
Yeah.
It's tough.
I get bored
because
a
now
lot.
we're at a point now where she's getting into prep, so it's like
Yeah.
having to find
Like what-
date nights that
Yeah.
aren't beer and alcohol related
And
in
thi-
Nashville.
And this is like, my prep is a long prep.
Yeah.
We started November 19th.
And it's till
Till
May
Through the
31st.
holidays.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
At least
So,
with
like, we-
Thanksgiving, it's a high protein options,
right.
but
And like I like vacations. Like I want to go on an all-inclusive vacation, and we can't do that.
yeah,
I'm like because we literally. I mean, our life is literally we wake up, we work, or I perform, we eat, and we lift, and I'm usually asleep by 8:30 p.m. Like if we wanted to do any sort of like fun night, like what are we gonna do? A puzzle? Like that's the extent of our fun nights.
a puzzle.
Because I mean, we can't
Yeah.
we can't go out and do
Yeah.
anything because you can't eat, you
We're,
can't
we're
drink.
getting a Regal membership.
Ooh,
We used to go to the movies on Tuesday nights, but then you can't eat the popcorn, so that I'm eating a whole bag of popcorn.
Oh man, but performing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that a little bit before we wrap this up.
Mm-hmm.
The NBA games are so cool to see
Yeah.
you do it in front of that kind of crowd.
Yeah, it was epic. It was so epic.
When you're flying around,
Yep.
like what are you thinking about? Because I know how to like bench press where it's like, okay, I know I have to like, and it becomes instinct. I'm not like
Yeah.
actively thinking at this point, but like I know what I have to do to create that, and I'm thinking about muscle fibers. I'm thinking about step 1, step 2. Everything you're doing is like a dance 15 feet up in the air. How much are you like focused on individual muscle fibers moving to pull here versus like
Yeah.
enjoying the perspective of flying around in the air? Like what's going through your head?
Musicality. That is literally the only thing in my brain the entire time. It's like a blessing and a curse. Like if I were to go up and perform and I didn't do anything with the music,
Yeah.
you as a muggle, we
Yeah.
call them,
Yeah.
would have no idea.
No.
Me, I'm like, I didn't hit that beat at that point in the music. I messed up the routine. So my brain the whole entire time when I'm performing is, okay, I know on this scale I'm supposed to hit this part of the music, and then on this part of the music I'm supposed to be here, and if I'm not here at that point, I'm late. That's where my brain is.
So it's like the whole, like the big picture
Oh, yeah.
choreography of what you're doing.
In the musicality of it. Because the skills, like, I've trained the skills. I could do all the skills with my eyes closed. It's just hitting my skills with the music.
Her dancing and doing aerial
Yeah.
and like the tricks, it's like when you and me lift. We've done it for, I mean,
Yeah. It's instinctual.
she's danced and she was able to walk. She went to college for dance, and she's been doing aerial for the
10
last
years.
10 years.
It's so crazy to watch.
Yeah. So for me, that's just my biggest thing. Like if I mess up my musicality or my silk gets stuck on my foot and it takes me longer to get it taken off my foot and then I'm late in the music, that's where I get angry with myself.
She can borderline learn a dance routine in 30 minutes and be able to perform it the next day. It would take me 3 weeks of 4-hour days learning it.
Yeah. Same.
Just to have the steps memorized. It wouldn't look good when I did it.
But in like training, like, do you have someone teach you how to like get a silk unstuck from your foot gracefully where it looks like a part of the performance, or like?
I mean, for the most part now, I'm self-taught. I mean, like, we've got a couple girls that are, like, same skill level where we, like, skill share and, like, hey, you should learn this skill. But we've also practiced, and I've practiced, because there have been times where I've gotten stuck in the silks, where you practice getting stuck and then how to get unstuck. Because what happens sometimes is, you know, the silk goes in the wrong direction because of you spun a little bit faster than you were supposed to, and then you get nervous because you're like, oh, crap, I messed up. And then you get overwhelmed and your brain stops working. So you practice kind of in the studio, like, okay, if my silk goes this way on this point, this is how I get out of it. So you practice the, like, escape routes of it.
Have you ever, like, to make something go at a speed to like make it on a beat, like created like a new
Nothing new.
trick
It's just
or
sometimes skills will look less pretty because I'm getting out of it a little bit more frantically. Really, that's it. And then the only other like biggest thing that I guess for your brain when you're performing is the height. So a lot of times we perform like 20 feet is like pretty average. And you're doing the same skills at 20 feet as you do, like NBA was probably closer to 40. But like you're doing the same skills at 20 as you are at 40, but for some reason, as soon as you go up to 40 and you look down, you're like, this feels high.
Don't look down.
Yeah.
yeah. How much of the don't look down, or do you have to look down with some of the tricks?
I mean, looking down, it's not even necessarily that. It's just like your brain goes of like, okay, on this skill, like just don't let go. All you have to do is just like, don't let go. Otherwise you're going to fall down. But for some reason you think because you're at 40 feet, it's going to be the day that you're just going to let go.
Don't let go and drop to your death.
Yeah. Just don't let go.
Yeah. I mean, how at 40 feet, I mean, is there mats? Is there anything like,
Nice hard. What is it? Maple that
yeah.
the NBA courts are made of?
Yeah. I mean, if you fall
That's a
40
soft
feet,
wood.
Yeah, it's a soft wood. If you fall 40 feet in front of tens of thousands of people.
But the nice thing is like all of the skills that I'm performing or putting into our NBA routines are skills that I've been doing for so long. Like I'm not going to throw in a skill in there that's like a catch and release skill where I do a flip, let go of the silks, and then have to re-grab the silks. Like that is not the place to be doing that. You know, so I'm only doing skills that I am comfortable doing, whether I were 20 feet or I would never go 100
So
feet.
is that the plan? Are we going to try to line up as much NBA?
I have another one coming up March 8th. I'll be at the Milwaukee Bucks.
That's really cool.
Yep. So
Grace has done some before.
Grace does a lot. She does quite a bit. So that's how I ended up getting this one was through Grace.
When she's on that red ball and it's like, whoa. Is that all a play?
Of her, no, that's just her being awesome and.
No. I meant like when it looks like she's like about to fall.
Oh yeah,
like,
she's just acting.
Yeah, okay.
No. But I mean, like the balance is hard. I've tried to get up there before. It is not easy to stand on that thing.
I'd love to see you up there.
I would want to try.
Well,
so
she
bad.
gets her part of her NBA acts. That's like her signature thing. Is she gets the mascots up on the ball on her ball in the middle of the halftime show. So she does all of her stuff, and then she calls out the mascot, and the mascot gets up there. Yeah. So they're fun, and like the crowd. I mean, that was the biggest arena I've ever performed in. Was when I was at the LA Clippers.
I can't even imagine that many people watching like something like a trick. Like it's one thing to lift, like I felt the lift, but like to do that that high up in the air. The only thing we didn't really touch on was you were in a movie.
Megalopolis.
I've actually practiced saying that, so I wouldn't mess it up on the microphone.
Yeah, it's at. It's an interesting movie.
Okay, I haven't actually watched the movie yet.
I believe one of the headlines that we read was Megaflopolis.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
So.
Okay, so let's not talk about the movie.
No, but it was such a great experience. Yeah. So how it happened was there was an audition for aerialists down in Atlanta. They were looking for dancers who could do aerial, or like basically called dancers to do an aerial audition.
Yeah.
Because it was in 2-point harness. So it's basically like a harness belt and then has swivels on the side so that you can like spin forward and then spin sideways, which I could throw you guys into it and like you will be safe. Will you look good in it? I don't really know.
Yes.
But
I look good in everything.
Yeah. So the audition was that, and they had a bunch of dancers, and like some girls were kind of getting it, but I performed on cruise ships for 9 months in 2-point harness. So when I auditioned,
is the harness, does it really do anything to assist, or is that just preventing people watching you die?
No, so like the whole act is 2-point harness. So like basically there's swivels on the side, and then you're attached with cables.
Yeah.
So you can go up and down, and they can move you back and forth, and you can spin forward and you can spin sideways, like with yourself, like to yourself. So they loved me.
She can get shot from here.
I can get from here to there in like a second. It just goes, "Yoop," and it pulls
just
me.
pulls you.
Yeah, and I can do a front flip as it goes. So it's like, if he punched me and I went flying backwards, I could like backflip.
Oh.
Yeah. So they hired me.
That's pretty cool.
They wanted 100 of us originally. They couldn't find 100 people. They only ended up finding 3.
3?
Yeah. And then they were going to duplicate our bodies. So we went through a whole rehearsal process with in the studios for like 2 whole days. Did costume fittings, came up with choreography.
Yeah.
They showed it to Francis Ford Coppola, who was the one that, it was his movie.
Yeah.
And he was like, I changed my mind. Let's do aerial moons instead. So they created 4 aerial moons. So basically it was like a crescent moon that was
Made out of metal.
Made out of metal that was 7-8 foot tall.
Yeah.
And we had to get inside it and just like perform on it. So we were supposed to be lookalikes for Grace Vanderwaal. So we all looked exactly the same costume, blonde hair, same makeup. And then
Y'all, you went to go see it,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Could you pick out which one was you, or do y'all all
I
look the
knew
same?
which one was me because, and they duplicated us, so it looked like there were like 20 of us in there, but there were only
Right.
3. I could pick out which ones were me because I remember what skills I was doing.
But as far as the look,
No, because it was all like distant shots of like all of us like pretty and flying in the air. So like I know my movement quality to
Yeah.
know like that's me. But like if you watched it, you'd have absolutely no idea.
okay, so I gotta go with you.
Yeah, and then I'd pause the screen and be like, I'm this moon, this moon, this moon, and this moon. Yeah,
Bunch of Nickies.
yeah,
That's so cool, though.
yeah. It was a really cool experience.
Resume builder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
super cool.
Yeah, so you got a show coming up, more NBA games. Is there anything else coming up that I need to know about?
The only thing in my eyes right now is that show.
Yeah.
Eat, sleep,
Blinders
work,
on.
show. Yep, blinders are on. We're in game mode. I don't know about you. Anything else in your life?
Super exciting. No, I mean I'm performing. I still have gigs like all throughout the year, but a lot of it are we get corporate gigs
Yeah.
that are private events for who knows who. Half the time we have no idea who. I don't know who we're
Right.
performing
You're
for
just
until I
performing.
show up to the gig, and then I know who it's for. But got a bunch of those. Nothing that I know of that's public except for the NBA game coming up. Most things are private. So
Well, like 3 times you mentioned kids. Is that
it's in the radar.
it's in the
It's in the
radar?
radar, which means performing for me will probably slow down. Yep. Get nice, big, and pregnant,
Sweet.
perform. Then once I have the kid, I can get my body back to feeling strong again and then perform some more. So,
Have the kids.
yeah, right? That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Go.
Yeah.
Put them at the bottom of the silks.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man, well, I can't wait to see you on stage.
I'm excited too.
Be
I
looking
will definitely
skinty.
do everything I can to pop over there with a megaphone.
I'm gonna have a sign.
Okay, good.
Go, Chad.
And we'll get you on stage at some point. Yep. You'd be so good. The posing, all of it. Everything's in your wheelhouse except not eating cookies.
Yeah.
That'd be sad.
Yeah.
Cookies and cheese. I
We
eat a
could
lot
probably
of cheese.
figure out a
too.
way to
Yeah.
plug them in the meal plan.
Well, that pretty much covers it. Thank y'all for coming out.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was great. I actually learned. It's my favorite part is I get to learn things about people I've known for a long time, and respect for the fight that it takes for people to be here. I think there's so much shiny new things here in Nashville that we forget that there's sometimes a dirty, gritty side of what it takes to be here, and I appreciate y'all fighting so you could still be here and be my friend.
Yeah.
We're happy to be your friend.
All right. Well, thank y'all for coming. If y'all liked this episode and you're new here, hit that button, hit that like, subscribe, follow along, and for the love of Nashville, tune into the next one.